Hello everybody, it's Kaitlin. Welcome back to another journaling video. As you can see, I have a bunch of notebooks in front of me, and that is because today I'm going to be flipping through probably not all, but some of the journals that I used this year in 2023. I feel like this stack is a very good representation of how the year went for me. I moved around a lot. I was in and out of notebooks. I was very confused about what I wanted in my analog system and what I wanted in individual books. And I think that really is reflected in all the different books that I used this year, even though 5 of them are stalogies. But anyway, I thought I would just kind of use this time in this video to flip through some of the journals, show you the pages that I created over the year, and then also talk a bit about and reflect on how the year went, what happened for me, what the year kind of felt like in terms of journaling, and just kind of have a fun little planner chat around what happened and how it went. So that is going to be the video for today. I have, as we can see here, many journals that I'm going to be going over today. I have my hobonichi cousin on the bottom here. I have 5 A6 stalogy notebooks, and then I have 2 passport traveler's notebooks as well, and I'm gonna just kind of flip through some or all of them and talk about what even happened this year, because this year was very chaotic for me in terms of my planner and journal system. So let's just get right into it. Alrighty, so I'm gonna pull these away just so that this massive stack isn't sitting all over my desk in front of you, and I can flip through the planner a little easier. And I'm just gonna kind of go through one by one the main journals that I used throughout the year, starting from January. The first journal that I have here, I think I started in December, and this is a half-year short trip insert from Traveler's Company. It's the blank paper. And I started this in December of 2022. That's when I started my planner system for 2023. And I use this as a kind of memory keeping journal, writing down what happened every single day. At this point in the year, I was very into fountain pens, and one of the things that you'll notice as the journals go on is I stop using fountain pen. And around, I think it was February, I think I just realized that I wasn't really enjoying fountain pens. I didn't really want to use them in my journals anymore. I think I just prefer gel pens. I had fun trying them, but I don't think they're for me, and that's something I kind of discovered during this year as well, which I made changes to my system because of. So I can't show you every page in here, but I pretty much just wrote about my day in pen and then kind of glued in ephemera where I felt like it. And I think I did almost all of December in this book. Yep, so I got most of December in this book, and there was a couple pages left, but I think I filled out most of the insert, which was pretty cool. And when I was filling this out, one of the things that I found immediately with this Passport Traveler's Notebook was I definitely, and you'll kind of notice this theme throughout the year, I definitely had a struggle this year with wanting to use bound books for a certain purpose for my journal, and then struggling with pasting in ephemera and having issues with like chunking and uneven pages, and then having to feel like I wanted to switch notebooks because of that. So I completed this notebook in the end of December, which was very cool, but I did actually stop using this Passport Traveler's Notebook system for memory keeping after this, because I was pasting in Instax photos and I felt like they were bulky and hard to write on, and one of the things that I also noticed this year, looking back, is sometimes I would planner hop when I didn't really need to planner or notebook hop, and I could have probably just solved the problem by making a tweak to how I was journaling in the notebook. And this is a great example because with this notebook, I could have just either pasted in the photos after I finished the insert, so then it would be a smooth writing experience, and then I would add the photos later so it wouldn't be bumpy. Or I could have switched out the type of photo I was printing, so I could have used a simple piece of printer paper, or I could have used my Canon printer instead of the Instax, which is really bulky. So you'll kind of notice that as I go throughout, there were some problems that I ran into that I just switched notebooks to solve. And I think going into next year, I want to be more aware of if a problem could be solved just by tweaking the system instead of just completely jumping ship and jumping into a new notebook. So that was something I kind of observed that you'll probably see as we go through. But yes, I did complete most of this notebook, which is pretty good. I got the full month of December in here, which is great. But then after this, I think I switched to this next notebook that we have here. And these are both memory keepers. I'll grab my planning notebook, which I used at the same time as these after this guy. But this memory keeping insert, I think I switched to after, maybe not right after, this starts in February, after the first one. And I did a similar approach. I did a kind of summary of the day in this weekly insert by Traveler's Company. And I also did some decorating, which looks pretty cool. And this I only kept up with for the month of February. And that was something I noticed as well this year. For some of these journals that I used, I only got through about a month or two with them before changing, which it's interesting because before I looked back at my journals, I didn't realize I was jumping around that much. And then once I did, I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So that was interesting too to see. But yeah, I used this for all of February. I really love the decoration. I think it looks really nice and it's pretty, but something I found with fountain pens is not only did I not love writing with fountain pens, but unrelated to fountain pens, cursive was hard for me to read. I can read my cursive, it's not illegible, but it's hard to read, which means it's hard to find certain events or see certain details on a page. So you'll also notice throughout the year I stopped using cursive. I had a lot of cursive going on at the beginning of the year, and as we go through, the cursive tends to go away. And I think we can see that here in this notebook. So this notebook was the planner that I set up at the same time as those Traveler's Notebook inserts in December. So I had some notebooks for memory keeping, journaling, and then I had some notebooks for planning. This one is an A6 stalogy, and I have a future log here. So I was using the bullet journal method. At the beginning of the year, and something that I worked through in 2023, was trying to figure out whether I wanted two separate planners for work and personal life, or if I wanted them combined into one. I think I started the year using this as my personal planner only, so having a separate book for work. And throughout the year, I experimented with having it in one book, having it in separate books, and I've now kind of settled with having it all in one book. I found having it in separate books to be just a lot to keep track of, and it was just very difficult to follow. But you'll see here at the beginning of the year, it was just personal in one book. In December, which is when I started this journal, I would paste in these Sora calendar printouts, which was cool. And I was also doing a slight variation of the bullet journal method where I would do 1 day per page instead of a rolling rapid log style where you just do like one log after the other. In January, I think I had a similar layout. And then, when was it? In February, I started pasting things in my journal and adding a lot more pictures. So I have one here. I have one here. I think I pasted in something from the Cheesecake Factory as well. And then I stopped this notebook around, I think the end of March. Yeah, the end of March. And the reason was because I stopped using the notebook because it was getting chunky because I was pasting things in. So I kept trying to use bound books because I love bound books, but the way I was using them just continued to not work for me throughout the year, and I kept kind of making the same kept repeating the same mistakes in terms of that, which it's funny because like looking back I see it clearly now, but like before in the moment I was like, no, I'll just start another book and I'll do this instead and that will solve the problem. And like it didn't solve the problem, but that's okay. So that was this book from January to March. Then in April, I think it was, I started this notebook. So I had used this notebook and I think I wanted more of an archive of what had happened. At this point, I wasn't using a journal for memory keeping anymore. I was just using one book. So in April, I thought that I would maybe start a new book and I would use it for journaling, but also for planning and have kind of everything together in one, which good idea in the moment, but execution was not really ideal. And that was because, again, I wanted to paste in things, but I wanted to have a productivity system, and pasting in things makes the journal chunky, and then the writing experience wasn't good, and then I was like, this isn't working anymore. So I actually backfilled this journal. This is the first journal that I ever backfilled, and what I did for it was I added calendars at the front for the first 6 months of the year, because I thought I would create this one as like my archive for the first half of the year, and then I would repeat it in a new notebook for the second half of the year. So I did that, and I backfilled all these calendars because I didn't start it until April. And then I actually went in and backfilled all of the daily logs. And this was the first time I'd actually backfilled, and I found it to be a very exhausting process. I wouldn't recommend, or I don't think I would do it again. I didn't enjoy it. It was a lot of work. But this is probably one of my more complete archives of the year because I have 4 to 5 months in here, but I filled out all the daily pages and I pasted in photos as well. I also tried kind of decorating and journaling a little more in here, which was cool. But even with these thin photos, again, the problem emerged that when I was memory keeping and planning in the same notebook, the chunkiness started to make it difficult to write again. But I didn't want to let go of a bound book. At this point as well, I was also finding, because I was trying to use a separate book for work planning, I was really good at focusing on keeping this up. But then my work planning book would often fall apart on the side, and I would often not use it or just not have a list of work to do's, which is not ideal, especially if you have like a busy workplace. But I also knew that if I had written my work to do's in here, then I wouldn't have room to paste an ephemera, which also kind of bothered me. So the system I created for myself had these limitations on it that didn't actually fit with the lifestyle needs that I had. But I didn't want to change the system, so that was where we ran into problems. So around, I think, end of April, I'd stopped using this notebook because I just found it so hard to write in it, especially because I'd added this commonplacing section at the back and pasted in more stuff. And it was like making the planner very bulky because I had glued in a ton of stuff, like these maps. And so, just like the notebooks before, I thought that the solution was to just move on to another notebook, which is what I did. And I think I have that one over here. So in May, I moved into yet another notebook, and the problem still existed, but in this one I thought that I would just have this be a like only planning book. There would be no, I don't think I've even fully set this up, no. There would be no like photos, I don't think. I added this for decoration, but I don't think I had put in, yeah, I hadn't put in any photos. I wasn't memory keeping in here. I was just kind of straight up planning. I don't even know what I was using at this point to memory keep. But I was doing this. And I think I got through maybe some of July in here, and it was okay. But I got bored and I didn't finish the notebook, as you can see here. There's a notebook in the back here as well. Did I use this for anything? No, this is just like random notes. So I got bored, which is another thing I noticed this year. I love stationery and planners and journals. It's kind of like, you know, the fun hobby that I have in my life. So I also noticed that sometimes I would jump into new notebooks because I was bored or I wanted to change, instead of trying to make the change in the notebook so that I didn't have to keep switching books. So yeah, I actually don't even know. I feel like I probably at the time had more reason to switch out of this notebook because like I barely got through it, like yikes. But I did stop using this notebook in July, and that is when I started using the Hobonichi Cousin. And this is where I got like a little better at sticking to the planners I was using. I did use this book from August. I filled out all of August, I filled out all of September, and then I dropped off in October. But I did really enjoy this notebook when I was, or planner, when I was using it. So I have like the front here, which I used as a habit tracker. Something I found with this was I loved crossing off the little boxes every day, but looking back, I found it very hard to like discern different days from each other and like see trends because there was just so many things that I was tracking. And then I have the monthlies, which is where I kind of wrote main events that happened in the month. I would have personal to-dos because at this point, again, I was not using the same planner for work and personal plans. Or maybe I was, but I was using code names at this point, which is something I did throughout the year. for my projects, so that I wouldn't like be breaking my NDA by filming these videos. This is September, and then I don't even think I filled out October, no. And then we have the weeklies over here. Which looked like this, and this is where I would write a detailed summary of what happened every day. So those kind of looked like this. And then I would have my tasks on the left, and then I would write things I was playing, shows I was watching, all of that stuff on the bottom here. And then the dailies. So I started that in July. So the dailies I used on the left as a to-do list, and then on the right I would write about my day. And I printed out, I tried to learn from my mistakes. I printed out photos using my photo printer instead of my Instax or Canon, so that it could be as thin as possible. So this was the first book that I actually did not have an issue with like the chunking or the bulk. So I guess at this point it took like 7 months, but I kind of learned from my mistakes in the past and stopped using really thick photo paper that made it hard to write in a bound book. And I just would paste in all kinds of stuff. And I would be using this for everything. So this was my planner, this was my journal, my memory keeper, my archive, everything was in one book. And then we get to October, where I filled in a couple pages, and I think I dropped off around the 10th or 11th. Yeah, the 11th of October was when I dropped off using this notebook. And I have a video going over why I stopped using this planner. It's a really great planner. It has like a lot of really detailed spreads and structure in it. I just found for me, because I wanted to fill everything out, and that's kind of the person I am, I like to kind of fill in all the areas. Having this just felt like a lot after 2 months, and I really didn't want to continue using it. I didn't want something that was so structured. And I also was just finding that I was a bit lost with work, and I was using code names in here, but you know, sometimes you just have to write down that you need to email someone or you need to ask someone about this thing, and you don't want to have to try to figure out ways to censor your words so that people on the internet aren't like seeing sensitive content. So yeah, I needed a change, but yes, I used this book until the end of, or I guess the beginning of October, and then I was like, you know what? This is just not it, and I need a bit of a change, which is when I started using my traveler's notebooks again. And I will say, I've been using my traveler's notebooks. Where are they? They're here. I've been using my traveler's notebooks since the middle of October. It's now December 7th, so it's been about 2 months-ish, give or take. And I'm still in them, I'm still using them, and it's still going pretty well, but I'll just flip through them for you guys. This is my traveler's notebook. The passport one I use for daily journaling. I have a grid insert in here, and I just write 1 day per page about what happened in the day. Like this. So it's very simple. One of the things I do is, because I like to put photos in my journal, but I don't want it to bulk up, is I will print the photo with my Instax printer, but I won't put it in my journal until I'm done with it and I'm archiving it. And that is just so that the insert doesn't get bulky and difficult to write on. So that is my passport journal. I have most of December in here. I'm gonna finish the year in here and then use a new insert for January. And then as I finish the insert, I'll just start a new insert again, which works, which is cool. And then my standard, still using this as kind of like a overflow journal, I think I would call it. It's for when I want to journal about something or add extra details outside of the daily journal, which is more summaries of the day. So I have like a quote here, I have a leaf, some art that I like, 1989 song list from Taylor's version, some Pokemon stuff, more Pokemon stuff. I have a map from when I went to the McMichael Art Gallery. I'm gonna add a photo here, I just need to print it out. And then crate menu, Black Friday purchases, Apple Music replay. So yeah, I'll probably start a new notebook for the next year too, so I can have kind of one journal per year, but that is what that looks like right now. And that I think is the last 2 notebooks from the year and from this flip through. So let's grab them all again. Where are they? Okay, we have this guy. And then we have all of the bullet journals. Oh yes, oh yes. And then we have a couple of the traveler's notebooks up here. And this was my year, not a perfect year by any means. There's definitely a lot to learn from here, to grow from, and I want to learn, grow, and apply the things that I have taken away as lessons to my next system for my next year. And that will actually be the video next week. I'm gonna film my process of kind of doing the review on all these planners that I flipped through with you, and how I'm reviewing it, the reflection process, and then the intentions that I'm gonna set for next year for my new system. So stick around if you wanna see that. It'll be posted the week after this video comes out. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the different journals that I used this year. I hope your year went well, but if it maybe wasn't the best year for you, and either it just wasn't the best in terms of what happened during the year, or it just wasn't the best in terms of your planner system, feeling lost, hopping around, I feel you. I resonate with that. And all we can do is grow and continue forward and try to learn and apply that to the next system. But I hope next year you have an even better planner lineup that works even better for you. But kind reminder, don't be too hard on yourself. This is meant to be fun. It's a fun hobby, and you know, just make sure that you're still being kind to yourself. So yeah, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a good week. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.